Hello and welcome to National Focus. I am Octavia Prosper. In the headlines, Parliamentary Representative for Marigot fully endorses International Airport. Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit takes media on tour of $1.3 billion international airport project, and over 600 are now certified in various disciplines. The details of the headline stories and more when we return. Welcome back. Parliamentary Representative for the Marigot constituency, Honorable Anthony Charles, has pledged his full support to government's construction of an international airport in Wesley, expected to cost in the region of $1.3 billion. Honorable Charles joined the tour of the International Airport project led by the Honorable Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit on Thursday, March 30.
Well, I think it's a tremendous project, and I'd like to say thank you to the Wesley constituencies for making such a great sacrifice, or to say for a greater development, because it's a little bit difficult to grow up in a village and give in or donate your land to a greater development. But I want to say thank you to them for making such a great sacrifice, for making a tremendous institution or construction of an international airport for a greater and better Dominica in the future.
Charles says it's unfortunate that some people have sought to undermine such an important project.
I don't think they will bring that suggestion to me, because I work in the airport for over 8 years. I was a customer service at Liat, customer service agent at Liat, and I see airport was a beneficial. It was Melvin Hall, well, Douglas Charles now. It was and still is economical factor for neighboring villages, especially Marigot, my constituency, and we are benefit and still benefiting from that airport. Much as for international of that magnitude, I think we'll have a greater benefit, both agriculture-wise, hoteliers, etc. So it will be a great improvement. I've been longing, as being an airport person over the years. I'm waiting and I'm longing to see the completion of an international airport, especially in my neighboring village, Wesley.
The Marigot parliamentary representative says he understands the potential benefits of such a facility to his constituency and Dominica by extension, and therefore fully supports the project.
Yes, I've been expressing my support from since whenever I've been hearing about international airport. But I want to live and make sure it comes true. I'm selling my full support behind the international airport.
642 graduates have been officially certified at a joint graduation ceremony of the Youth Development Division and Adult Education Division held on March 29, 2023 at the Windsor Park Sports Stadium. More in this report with Adicia Burton.
The Youth Development Division, in collaboration with the Adult Education Division, held a joint graduation ceremony to commemorate the completion of the October 2021 to January 2023 Youth Skills Training and Certificate courses at their institutions. Approximately 642 individuals were awarded certificates at the graduation ceremony held on March 29, 2023 at the Windsor Park Sports Stadium. Minister of State in the Ministry of Public Works, Public Utilities and Digital Economy, with specific responsibility for public utilities, telecoms and broadcasting, Honorable Shakira Hippolyte, says this forms a natural part of the national reset in Dominica, and that this will boost the economic independence of graduates.
The government of Dominica, through our Prime Minister, Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, had recently enunciated a policy reset within all important educational sectors. A key aspect of this paradigm shift was the technical, vocational, and skills training program. These sectors are critical to Dominica's developmental goals. We cannot aspire to be a progressive nation without paying significant emphasis on these areas. It means, therefore, that Dominica's thrust for advancement is in your very hands. The acquisition of such much-needed skills and knowledge shall also you on the patio of economic independence.
Chief Youth Development Officer of the Youth Development Division, Mr. John Roach, says the respective training programs have been instrumental in securing employment opportunities for individuals.
During the past 40 years, 8,786 Dominicans have been trained in almost 100 different disciplines under the Youth Skills Training Program, at an average of 220 trained per year. The most recent tracer study conducted on the Youth Skills Training Program for the period June 2017 to September 2021 indicated that from 298 graduates that were traced, which includes 129 males and 169 females, 172 graduates were employed following completion of their respective training programs. This represents 58% employment generation upon completion of the training.
267 individuals from the Youth Development Division under the Skills for Youth Development SKY program and 365 individuals from Adult Education Division acquired certifications this year. Mr. Roach says the Youth Development Division will continue to make a significant impact on the socio-economic empowerment of youth in Dominica. Adicia Burton for the Government Information Service.
The Honorable Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit says his decision to invite the local media on a tour of the International Airport project is in the interest of transparency. Julian Morris reports.
All members of Parliament were also invited on the site visit. The project is presently focused on pre-construction interventions. This includes the geotechnical survey, the results of which will inform the final designs of the airport.
Those boreholes that have been done over the last 9 months have informed of some changes to the original conceptual design insofar as waterways are concerned, etc., because of the soil type. And this is why I say the Chinese contractors are very, very detailed and meticulous and highly professional and competent where engineering is concerned, and we have great confidence in the ability to deliver this project.
The Prime Minister said it's imperative that certain interventions be done before actual construction can begin.
The project has not started insofar as construction of the airport itself. Where we are now is the facility, the location for the concrete batching plant. You're going to need, serious metric tons of concrete on a daily basis. That almost will be poured on a 24-hour basis as you go along. So there'll be a massive concrete plant here and other supporting facilities, including the construction of office for the contractors and some residences for the workers that we'll be bringing in to assist with the construction of the airport. But we have no doubt that the signs that we are seeing have been the most visible and transparent signs of Dominica's effort to build an airport.
Prime Minister Skerrit says Dominicans have desired an international airport for half a century.
We have been speaking about it for the last 55, 60 years. It has been a dream and aspiration for every right-thinking Dominican who understands development and the need to increase job opportunities and grow the economy, expand the economy, especially a post-colonial economy. Luckily for many countries in the Caribbean, they inherited international airports. During the World War, the US using their countries as bases for refueling. And so many countries inherited international airport. What they had to do was to extend the runway, maybe build a new terminal building, etc. And many of these countries had flat lands that they could have used to build the airport. So St. Lucia, Barbados, Antigua, all of these areas received the airport. Grenada had started one. It was completed by Maurice Bishop with the help of the Cuban revolutionary engineers. So we have not been as fortunate as they have been.
He says it's a very ambitious project and government remains optimistic the airport will be completed within a 4-year period.
Once all of those tests have been done, once all of those, the concrete batching plant will be constructed, my understanding is that it will take them about 2 months to complete the construction of the batching plant, and the associated office and residencies for the workers and so forth. About 2 months, and during that time, obviously, the designs be finalized and they'll be submitted to planning. We're gonna have to get technical support for planning in order for them to be in a position to properly review those plans.
Parliamentary representative for the Wesley constituency is grateful to the people for giving up their land for the greater good.
I must say it's a good time to be the parrot for the Wesley constituency. But let me start off by saying a heartfelt thanks to the homeowners and the landowners of Wesley, because they are the real true patriots of Dominica. And it is not an easy task after living in your home for 30, 40 years to being told that you will not have to move for a national project, and to do so without any hesitation, without any demonstration. And it's important that we point this out this morning, because very often you hear that Wesley is difficult, Wesley people are stubborn, but we were able to do all of this, over 500 acres, without any difficulty, and that is largely due to the cooperation of the Wesley people, and I think that they must be applauded for this effort.
Minister for Housing Honorable Melissa Skerritt said the project promises to transform the entire area.
The Ministry of Housing is doing everything that we can at this point, providing the technical support for this area. And we have been very instrumental previously in terms of the acquiring of the properties. The ministry we identified about 298 properties which had to be acquired from private owners, and from that we have processed majority of it, maybe just about 20 left. But I must commend the response from the people. They have been cooperating very well. And in most cases, we have ensured that whatever we acquired from them, that they have gotten a better deal. And even in the case where we had crop compensation with people who were actually squatting, from a humanitarian standpoint, we still paid them for their crops.
The minister says she is impressed with the airport project so far.
I sincerely want to thank the homeowners. As you saw, we did a tour earlier, and we saw the homes that were built. They are hurricane proof, of course, with a resilient approach to housing. And we even saw private homes which were built by people who were paid cash for properties that they owned before. In some cases, well, they look like mansions to me. And some cases you saw that they build 2 homes out of what they've been able to acquire from the government. So we continue to stand in support of this, and we continue to provide the technical support.
She says $18 million has already been paid to private homeowners. Julian Morris for the Government Information Service.
The government of Dominica, through the Ministry of Public Works, Public Utilities and Digital Economy and the Caribbean Digital Transformation Project, has hosted another Digital Transformation Roadshow. The roadshow, which was held on Thursday, March 31 at the Pierre Charles Secondary School, was aimed at highlighting the digital adaptations of businesses here on island. The Caribbean Digital Transformation Project is a US $28 million project financed by the World Bank. Minister with responsibility for public utilities, telecoms, and broadcasting, Honorable Shakira Lockhart-Hippolyte, says digital transformation can serve as a tool to accelerate human development.
The government of Dominica is of the view that the digital transformation should not only be seen as providing faster services or services at a lower cost, but rather the digital transformation should serve to accelerate human development by changing the way in which we work and the way in which we innovate.
Parliamentary representative for the Petit Savant constituency, Honorable Julian Defoe, says he has seen the transformation of some businesses firsthand and welcomes the advancement.
I have experienced both worlds, and in almost all of the public utility companies that are there, I have literally seen their transformation. I have paid bills in a certain way, in which has totally changed for me now. Many of them which I no longer have to physically ever visit their offices. And so this is transformation in itself.
Employee of the Dominica Water and Sewerage Company Limited, DOWASCO, Ms. Kristen Kelshal, spoke of some of the digital changes amended by the company.
Some customers, especially companies, they request fields via email. This we don't encourage unless it's really a need at the time due to the need, the various needs. We assist, but we want to encourage customers to create online accounts. Okay, they can view their bills, they can view their balances, their history, and the dates of the billings. Okay. Also, customer service, we are able to help customers to calculate their consumption. The information is on our website as well. When they view their online bills, the details are on our website as to how they can calculate their consumption. Customer service reps are also available to assist customers in calculating their consumption.
You're watching National Focus. More when we return. Welcome back. Strategies are being developed to promote a common understanding of the development priorities of government. Government has partnered with the United Nations Barbados and the Eastern Caribbean Office to host a Development Partners Coordination meeting. The meeting took place on Wednesday, March 29 at the State House Conference Center under the theme, Leveraging Partnerships to Collectively Respond Through a National Reset.
Dominica is humbled and indeed grateful for the long-standing support and cooperation we enjoy in many areas of development. We see the evidence of the positive impact of your interventions on lives and livelihoods in communities across our island. In particular, since the passage of Hurricane Maria in 2017, several of you have helped us with relief, response, and recovery. You have assisted with implementing programs to promote sustainable development and provide support for Dominica's climate resilience initiatives.
One of the aims of the meeting is to leverage the UN Country Implementation Plan as a means to address national priorities with support from all development partners. Prime Minister Skerrit believes more can be done to strengthen these partnerships and place more focus on pressing areas.
Can we realign our objectives to tackle the most pressing matters of our time? Based on the objectives of this consultation, it is clear that you are aware of the need to prioritize key areas of development and to take more decisive action to bring meaningful change. I therefore welcome your overall goal to build synergy, collaborate more closely, and promote a common understanding for the more efficient selection and implementation of programs for Dominica.
Prime Minister Skerrit says government understands and values the relationship with their existing partners.
As a people, all too well familiar with the devastating effects of severe weather events and the resulting social and economic fallout, we also know that decisive and meaningful action is necessary if we are to build resilience and protect the lives and livelihoods of our people. The reality is that our countries face the burden of high debt, primarily due to the cycle of continuously responding to climate-related disaster events and external economic disruptions over which we have little control. If you look at our debt profile, you will recognize that 98% of our borrowing were to respond to natural disasters and external shocks.
Coordinator of UN agencies and international NGOs, Dr. Addis King, says the meeting was hosted as a means of realizing Sustainable Development Goal number 17. The goal is to strengthen the means of implementation and revitalize the global partnership for sustainable development.
Our nature isle has suffered much over the last decade as a result of various natural disasters. We will never forget Tropical Storm Erika, which resulted in the total destruction of several communities. Hurricane Maria, with a loss of over 200% of our GDP. And most recently, the November trough, which affected several communities on the east of our island. In addition to this, like every other country, Dominica has been impacted by the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic and the war in Ukraine. How then can we as a vulnerable country plan ahead to not only improve the lives of our citizens, but also to be prepared for shocks that will certainly occur?
The meeting is expected to improve the delivery of development assistance to Dominica and reduce implementation bottlenecks.
I believe that today, themes leveraging partnerships to collectively respond to a national reset is very timely, because many of us have started new cooperation cycle last year with the new cooperation framework of the UN and also other partners such as USA, European Union, Canada, UK, amongst others. It's also, and most importantly, very timely because Dominica, as many countries in the regions and beyond, are still transitioning from the impact of COVID.
Government aims to identify gaps as well as opportunities to build synergies and strategically collaborate with its development partners. The Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, and the Government of Dominica, through the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries, and Blue and Green Economy, has signed the 2022 to 2026 Country Programming Framework. The Country Program Framework, CDF, defines mutually agreed priority development needs and interests to be supported through technical cooperation activities between the FAO and Dominica. During the signing ceremony held on Wednesday, March 29, Minister for Agriculture, Fisheries, the Blue and Green Economy, Honorable Roland Royer, described the signing as significant for the development of Dominica.
I'm very pleased to be here today for this short but significant ceremony, the signing of the 2022-2026 Country Programming Framework between Dominica and the Food and Agriculture Organization. The Country Programming Framework outlines the strategic priorities, development results, and expected outcomes, the partnership and financial resources required for the successful implementation of the technical cooperation agenda consistent with the National Development Agenda of the Ministry's goal for the agricultural sector to contribute a minimum of 700 million to national output or GDP by 2030.
The priorities outlined in the country's programming framework were identified after numerous consultations with the relevant stakeholders.
After extensive stakeholder consultation and careful review of the main issues identified and the key strategic documents, including the National Resilience Development Strategy, the Climate Resilience and Recovery Plan, and the National Agricultural Policy, the following priorities have been identified to provide the strategic direction for FAO's technical support for Dominica for the period 2022 to 2026. Resilience to climate change and shocks and sustainable natural resource management, shared prosperity and economic resilience, and equality, well-being, and leaving no one behind.
The Agriculture Minister reiterated government's commitment to achieving the various goals outlined in the CPF for the further development of a resilient Dominica.
Dominica has a long working relationship with FAO, and we thank them for the continued support as we build a resilient agricultural sector. The Ministry of Agriculture is committed to achieving the targets set in this country program framework and is looking forward to working with the FAO in collaborating with all concerned partners for the successful implementation of this country programming framework.
Meanwhile, Sub-Regional Coordinator for the Caribbean and FAO representative for Dominica, Dr. Renata Clark, described the signing as the beginning of a long process to assist the ministry in reaching its goal.
This is the beginning, though. It is the beginning of a process. Minister Royer referred to the long consultations that we've engaged in to have a very good starting point for this program of work. But the minister and the PS have underlined to me clearly the emphasis they're putting on monitoring, ongoing monitoring of implementation towards clear goals. So this is a living document. We're living in dynamic times. Things happen that we didn't expect. There are numerous partners, and with careful monitoring and attention to implementation, we will adjust as we need as we go ahead to make sure that we do meet that very ambitious target of 700 million.
The Jean Pierre Caribbean Youth Netball Championship has come to a close with Barbados retaining the championship. Kuvia John has more in this report.
Defending champions Barbados have retained their championship by maintaining a perfect score sheet, winning all their 5 games during the 5-day tournament. Dominica and Grenada ended the tournament tied on 17 points. However, Grenada emerged on top with a better goal difference, leaving Dominica in 3rd place. Captain Kenya John, Lemaya Ford and Nisha Remy were named in the top 16 players of the tournament. Lemaya Ford was named Dominica's most valuable player, while Team Dominica won the award for Best Team on Parade. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Culture, Youth, Sports and Community Development, Mr. Lucian Blackmore, stated that it was a privilege to host a tournament for the first time, as it falls in line with government's thrust to make sports a priority in Dominica.
For us at the Ministry of Sports, on behalf of the government, it has been an absolute honor and privilege, and of course sheer delight, to be the host of the 20th Jean Pierre Caribbean Under 16 Netball Championship. For us, it's no coincidence. It has been decided for a very long time that sports, youth, and women's development are national priorities for Dominica. And so you can see the alignment. You're all young ladies under 16, you're all women, and you're all into sports. So you could well imagine during this real harsh economic times, we haven't even bounced back from COVID yet. We're still in a COVID dilemma, but yet still the government could see the need to make this sacrifice because it was totally aligned with our priority.
He thanked the students for making the personal sacrifice to participate in the tournament, saying that their involvements cannot be taken for granted.
We mustn't take games like that for granted. Because when you go into tournaments like that, it is a question of having to pay a very serious dividend on the individual level and also the country level. And I'll tell you why I say that. You're all under 16. And we're all approaching the period for CXC very soon. And yet still you could make the personal sacrifice. You could leave some of your domestic affairs aside. You could leave a lot of your schoolwork aside, and you could find the time to really train and play hard for the games. So we can't take that for granted.
Mr. Blackmore encouraged the players to use tournaments like these to build networks and as an opportunity to grow.
You're all under 16. You're all playing for your countries. But I see a bunch of inline senior Caribbean netball players in the next couple of years. You will soon turn 19, and then you will go on to the senior team. So I really want to tell you, take the opportunity for building networks, for mentoring. You would have seen some of your opponents have some little skill set that you don't have. You have to try to emulate. You have to try to reach out to them to get into their thinking. So really take the opportunity for really building your friendship and building that cadre of network where you can realize on your peers and sort of learn your skill set. And very importantly too, the thinking and the mindset of the game. Sports is all about question of mental fortitude and mental agility. And you are very young people and you realize that will help you to make you much better people.
Kuvia John for the Government Information Service.
And that's all for this edition of National Focus. Be sure to follow GIS Dominica on Facebook, YouTube, and on Twitter. You can also drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm. From all of us here on the GIS News production team, I am Octavia Prosper. Thanks for watching and have a great weekend.